Hello and welcome to this videocast for subscribers to davidicke.com. Well, this week the subject is obvious: vaccine fascism. And not just vaccine fascism, but medical fascism. Because what we're seeing more and more are efforts to impose the treatment, and often that's a word you have to put in quotes, the claim treatment for illness, disease, or the prevention of disease, as they claim. The move more and more is to enforce this upon people and their children against their will. We've had cases where judges have decided that children will be given chemotherapy even though a parent doesn't want it, because they've taken the trouble to realise that chemotherapy is in effect state-sponsored murder. And so it's no surprise that what we're seeing coming out of America now, and this is a worldwide agenda, have no fear, that is coming out of America to enforce compulsory vaccinations. Now, what you have is different masks on the same system. So, Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical cartel that makes its billions and billions out of people being sick, and also out of giving us what they say we should take for being sick, or in case of vaccinations, to stop us being sick. This is the same Big Pharma whose version of healthcare is the biggest killer in the United States. The same in many other countries as well. But if you take all the various aspects of mainstream medical treatment, doctors' mistakes, adverse drug, vaccine reactions, all these things put together that come under the heading of treatment, then the treatment is the biggest killer in the United States, above cancer, above heart disease, and so on. But big pharma, is part of the system. It's a mask on the system. And doctors are merely an expression of that big pharma cartel. You try being a doctor and treating people outside of what big pharma deals with, which is basically the scalpel and the drug, and see what happens to you. And so, because big pharma, therefore the medical profession, say the treatment for cancer is radiation or chemotherapy, then when a parent and a child are before a judge because the parent doesn't want the child to be poisoned by this weed killer stuff they call chemotherapy, then the judge, who's another mask on the system, listens to and acts upon what the other mask on the system, the medical profession, i.e. Big Pharma, say should be the treatment. And therefore, what you've got is different aspects of the system dictating to people what they will and will not have done to their own bodies. And I'm going to get into the vaccine thing big time because of what's coming out systematically at the moment. But let's just deep breath and have a look at that. What is left of personal sovereignty? What is left of personal choice when a system of authority is telling you what you will and will not have put into your own body, and how your body will be treated when it has a problem. If we are looking for a foundation starting point for the very foundation of freedom, then surely it starts with what we choose, a word that's disappearing down the memory hole fast, that we choose to have put into our own body, and what we choose in terms of having our body treated. Surely that's the foundation. Well, what this videocast is all about, and I'm going to expand on it as we go along, is that basic freedom is now under threat, under attack, like never before. And interestingly, a long time ago, somebody saw this coming. His name was Benjamin Rush. He was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence of the United States. And he warned in 1787 that medical freedom needed to be included in the American Constitution, because he said without this protection, the medical establishment would naturally progress, he said, as many of mankind's institutions do exactly, into an oppressive dictatorship. His words, echoing from 200 years ago, more than 200 years ago, ring strikingly true today, this article says. And this is what he said. The Constitution of this Republic should make special provision for medical freedom. To restrict the art of healing to one class will constitute the Bastille of medical science. All such laws are un-American and despotic. Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize into an undercover dictatorship and force people who wish doctors and treatment of their own choice to submit to only what the dictating outfit offers. Now, as prophetic statements go, in the light of what's happening now, that takes some beating. Mahatma Gandhi had an opinion on vaccination too, and he said this: vaccination is a barbarous practice and one of the most fatal of all the delusions current in our time. Conscientious objectors to vaccinations should stand alone, if need be, against the whole world in defense of their conviction. And if ever there was a time to start doing that, it's now, because of all that is unfolding, not least out of America, but it's happening worldwide. Mandatory vaccinations for adults and children, for which they have no choice. That is the button being pressed. The button? The button. Depends on your accent, I suppose. That's the button being pressed now to bring in mandatory vaccinations, which is just another way of saying body fascism, or fascism in general.